Okay, so guys, today we are modeling equations. We're going to use models. There's your essential question, your EQ. How do we create models of equations? Now, guys, I will have these notes available for you to copy down. So you don't have to write them down right now. Just follow along with us, okay? Today, what we're going to start with, we are going to define what equations are. Equations are simply a math sentence with variables, operations, and an equal sign, okay? These are your operations: multiplication, addition, subtraction, division. That's what I mean by your operations. And variables. Well, let's look at our equation example. 2x plus 7 equals 17. The x represents your variable. The x represents your variable, okay? And here we have another example, and it's 3y minus 2 equals 2y plus 1. And again, your variables are the letters. Their variables are really symbols that represent unknown numbers, okay? You're going to define that later on in your notes section, but just know that your variables can be x, it can be y, it can be z, it can be anything, okay? They just represent unknown numbers. Now, one more thing I wanted to show you. If you ever see 3y, this, if there's nothing in between the number and the variable, this means multiply. So this really means 3. And we use dots now to represent multiplication, right? We don't use the x anymore. So we use 3 and then the dot for times y, okay? Another way you could see it would be like this. This also means 3 times y, okay? So when there's nothing in between the number and the variable, it really means multiply, okay? Well, let's move on. So now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do models with translating. We're going to translate models into equations, okay? This is the first section we're looking at. And here you see, and I'm going to cover up that bottom one. Here you see a bunch of rectangles and a bunch of squares, okay? Now you also see a key. This is very important. The key tells you how to read the model. So for example, I see that I have a rectangle. If the rectangle is clear or not shaded at all, it is equal to x. Okay, that's a variable. Now, if I have a rectangle that has lines or shaded, that's considered a negative x, okay, a negative variable. Well, if I go to the different shape, I have a square, and it's if not shaded or not with diagonals through it, it's a positive 1. If I have a square that is shaded with diagonals, that is considered a negative 1. And I hope you guys can see that better. Let me go ahead and get a little closer. There you go. Okay, so here's my first model, and we're going to translate this together, okay? So the first thing I'm going to ask you is to start from the left-hand side, okay? Starting from the left-hand side, I see 1, 2, 3 rectangles, and each rectangle represents x. Well, if you want to, put x's in here, okay? How many x's do we see? Well, we see 3 x's. So guess what, guys? We're going to say we have 3 x's. Now, that also means 3 times the number of x's, all right? Now, what else do we have? Well, each open rectangle is a positive 1, okay? A positive 1, okay? Well, we said it's a positive, okay? So how many positives do we have? We have 2. Well, we have 2 positives, so I'm going to write plus 2. These are single numbers. They're not variables, all right? There's my equal sign. And now on this side, I don't have any rectangles, so I won't have any x's. But I do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 single ones. So are they positive or negative? They're positive. I could write plus 8 to show that they're positive. If I put the plus 8, it wouldn't matter. If I took it away, it would still be positive. So there's my first translation. Pretty simple, isn't it? Well, let's go to a little more difficult one. And it's not really that more difficult. Again, start on the left-hand side, see what you've got. I have 1, 2 rectangles. Each rectangle is an x. So I have 2 x's. So I'm going to come down here and write. I have 2 x's, okay? I also have 2 squares, which are positive 1. So how many squares are there? There are 2 and they're positive, so I'm adding 2, okay? Here's where it looks a little different. Look at over here, guys. I've got 1, 2, 3 x's, so I'm going to write 3x, and they're positive, right? Because they're not shaded. Now here, there's a -1, and there's a -1. I've got 2 negatives. Well, I can show that by writing -2. If they're 2 negatives, I wrote -2. Over here, it was 2 positives, so I wrote +2, okay? All right, moving right along. We're ready to move on to the next side. We're going to go the opposite direction. We're going to go to creating models, okay? We're going to have an equation, and we're going to use this key to create a model representing 2x plus 8 equals 4x minus 2. First thing we want to create are 2 x's, and they are positive x's. Now, I just noticed a mistake on my key. This key right here should have a clear rectangle that equals positive x. So there is a blooper on our video. The clear rectangle represents a positive x. The shaded represents a negative x. So go ahead and correct that. Hopefully you don't write it like that. So I'm going to represent 2 positive x's. So I'm going to draw 2 rectangles. Okay. Each one is a positive x. And I have to represent +8 or 8 positives. So I'm going to draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So 2 x's plus 8 singles, 8 positives. Equals, now I've got 4 x's I've got to draw, and they're positive, so make your 4 x's. Okay. All right. And you can arrange them different ways. That's fine. Keep your x's together. Now here I've got to represent 2 negatives. So I know they're squares, but they're negatives. So -2 is negative, the same as -2. So I want to do, oh my gosh, my key is so wrong. There's my key corrected, guys. I apologize for that. I want 2 shaded negatives. Okay. All right. There's our answer. Now we're going to move on to this one. We're going to use the same key that I've corrected and made look better. So now we're going to do -3x. So I want 3 negative x's. I got to draw 3 rectangles. But what do I need to do to the inside of them? I need to make them negative. So I'm going to shade them. Or just draw your diagonals through it. If you want to get pretty, do it. And then I need +3, so 3 positives. 3 positive squares. Oop, that square got a little jacked up there. My bad. My artistic ability is fading on me. Now, I need 2 positive x's on this side, so 2 positive x's. Okay, and then, be careful, -2. I know 2 is going to be singles, but if it's -2, again, we need to represent that with negatives. So shade them in. Hopefully that's correct. It is. I'm looking at it. I think I did a good job. I hope you guys did a good job getting that copy down. Now it's your turn. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this back up so you can see the whole page. And here's what I want you guys to do. All right. You're going to use this key. Now let's make sure our key looks right. That's what Mr. Fraley better do. An open rectangle is a positive x. A shaded rectangle is a negative x. That sounds good, right? Better check, Mr. Fraley. He's getting old. An open square is a positive 1, and a shaded square is a negative 1. So that looks good. We're good. Mr. Fraley did not screw that one up. All right. So here's what you're going to do first, guys. You're going to translate this equation. You're going to translate this model into an equation. So go ahead and do that. Then you're going to go ahead and go down to number 2, and you're going to translate this model into an equation. All right. You don't even have to solve them anymore. So, hey, we're being nice to you. All right. Then you're going to go down to the create section. and I want you to create. Now, you don't have room to do it obviously here, but you're going to, on the back of your paper or wherever Miss Jackson wants you to do it, you're going to create x plus 3 equals 3x minus 5. And you're going to create negative 2y plus 5 equals 2y minus 3. Also, guys, answer your EQ. How do we create models of equations? So guys, I expect you guys to have all of this. My kids have all of this copied in your notes. I will take pictures of each still piece of paper and get these in your notes for you. Okay. Hope you guys have a good day. Get this done. I hope this helps you. If you have any questions, ask me or talk to Miss Jackson. Talk to y'all later.